Alright, this is a demonstration of how to take 60 regularly exposed images and combine them together, and then we're going to change them into a smart object, and then add a median blend for all those layers. If you look at these pictures, they're all just standard pictures. Okay exposure, but nothing really long speed. In fact, if you look at the shutter speed, it's 1/30th of a second. So we're going to take all 60 of these. We're going to select them all in Lightroom by pressing Control A. Right click on here. Go up here and say Edit In and Open as Layers in Photoshop. So these are 60 images that are all about 22 megapixel. So this will take just a minute. I see the layers palette is a little on the side here, but you can sort of see what's happening. So we're going to pause this for a second until it's done. So I'm going to pause the video. It's up to 5 so far, so we'll come right back. Alright, it took a little over 3 minutes to load these 60 22 megapixel images into here. They're full raw files. Alright, so you'll see we have image 6050. It took the file name and saved it as that layer. And then up to 6109. So we're going to click the bottom one. We're going to scroll all the way up here to the top of the layers and then hold down Shift and click that. You see now all of those are selected, right? So I'm going to right click on here and say Convert to Smart Object. Now we're going to pause this and then I'll record how long it takes to do this. But this does take a minute. Actually, that was pretty fast. It used to take a little bit. I actually used to use these as tests for computers. Currently, my system is a an Intel i7 running a solid-state drive with 32 gigs of RAM, so that helps it out quite a bit. Alright, so you'll see that we have this smart object here, which is a combination of all of those 60 layers. It still looks like this. Alright, so let's go up to Layer. Let's see where it's at. Smart Objects. Stack Mode. Can you all see where I'm going here? Okay, and we're going to go to Median. And go ahead and click it. And this part used to take a little bit too, but it also used to take a while to stack my smart object. So maybe we'll wait it out for a minute. Looks like it's going okay. I tell you, I've had a lot slower computers, and this can take a very, very long time. Those two parts, making it into a smart object and also rendering an image stack. Looks like this is going okay though. We're not going to pause it. Let's just talk about what it's doing. So what it's doing is it's just averaging out from each layer, and it's taking, so it smooths it all out because it's essentially the same as taking a 60-second exposure as taking these 61-second exposures. But actually these are, what did we say they were, a 20th of a second? Oh, a 30th of a second. So I guess this would be equivalent to taking a 30-second exposure, because taking one at every 30 seconds. And if my math's off, that's the way it is. You know, the first part of that was going so fast. Oh, there it is. So you can see what it did when it averaged all these shots here. There's even people out there. You see they got a little glow around them, and they're not even fully there because they're because there's so many exposures and they weren't in all of them. One thing that you'll notice right away, look over here. I was at f16. I was at a smaller aperture because I was trying to get it to be you know, slow the light coming down so I could slow my shutter speed down. Consequence of that is that sometimes when you do that, you'll start to see your sensor spots. So I got one there. Let's go through here and clean this up a little bit. Got to go on a new layer. Bam, bam. So you are not the only one that has to suffer through sensor spots. I should have just cleaned my sensor, huh? Look at that crazy one right there. Oh, that's no good. Just backed up and did a smaller selection there, huh? Let's see if we got any up top. Nice crazy one there. That looks like there's a little hair or something on there. Alright, not bad. And I want to get rid of these people here. Look how well that did. So much easier than the old way, huh? Let's see, so for a quick little combination there. Just cleaned up my spots, get rid of the people. We'll go ahead and do a couple other quick adjustments real quick. We're going to come in here and do a luminosity mask, and we're going to darken all of that stuff there. Let's go to curves. Okay. So look what we added here. Let's go to our layers palette here. Come on, where's it at? Okay, you can see before and after. We're going to add another empty layer here. We're going to get a black color, and we're going to add a gradient on here, change it to soft light. And I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. This is my, if you don't know what I did here, is I added this gradient, right? It came down to here. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit by pressing Control T, and then I'm just going to drag it down a little more. And even this, I think that maybe I want to repeat it one more time. It could be a little stronger. What I don't like is that's just too darn blue up there. So why don't I mask that one? Throw a reveal all mask. Get a big brush. Run it at maybe 40%, 30%. And just get that blue out. Because that blue's too intense, but I like what it did besides that, right? Maybe back that off a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. Press Ctrl Shift E. Make a duplicate copy. Change its blend 1 to soft light. Maybe dial it down a little bit. And maybe we want to make the water itself a little more golden because there's some blue here, which is nice. It's from the sky. But see, the other thing that we did is we took a lot of the detail out of that, out of those, right? So you know what we can do real quick is we can go back to our channels layer here. We're going to hold down Control and click that, and you see it selected all the white. But remember, if we push Control Shift I, it'll select the opposite. Then it'll go back to this layer and add a mask, and then we're going to flip that mask. So here's my mask. My mask is hiding everything that's black. Everything that's white, it's revealing. So you see it's darkening everything else but those posts. So those posts are not getting darker. Alright, so let's add a nice photo filter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the layers palette here. And we're going to knock down what's happening up in the sky. So we're going to take a black graduated filter and drop it on my mask. So you see what's happening with my mask here. Maybe down a little bit more. That's before and after. And then one more adjustment here. Let's go to selective color. Let's take our neutrals and we're going to make them a little bit brighter. We're going to take our blacks and we're going to make them a little darker. Well, maybe we want to, let's make our blacks a little lighter and our grays a little darker. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, what's going on there. Anyways, quick and easy, 60 seconds. This is the beginning image. This is the end image here. We can actually go back and we can see the very first image right here. From there to there. And most of that was automation. So, you know, I would highly recommend always carrying a neutral density filter in your camera bag and doing this thing with a neutral density filter. It'll look a lot more realistic. There are some little artifacts that go on here that are just a result of computer generation, but still it does a pretty convincing job, and realistically you're still doing the long time frame. You're just splitting it up into little sections. It's a little bit like taking star trail shots where you stack them so your sensor doesn't overheat to keep the noise low, and you would end up taking a lot of small shots of star trails so that then you can combine them later in software and keep it clean. It's almost exactly the same as that. So go ahead and flatten this and go ahead and save it. I think I will save this one because I sort of like it. This one I hadn't edited before. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and close that, and that's pretty much it for image stacking. One thing I'll mention when you're taking the shots, you know, when you're out there in the field, you know, a couple hints with this is one is put it on a tripod, use a remote shutter, go as slow as you can reasonably, and still keep your exposure. That way you're starting to get a little bit of blur anyways in the water, and then that'll help keep it more realistic when you go to combine them later. Also, when you're doing this type of thing, take a few different angles. You know, you really never know what's going to work until after you get into it. And as you start to take these different sequences of shots, so many of them look really close to the same. So as you start to, you know, you do 60, 70 shots and you move your angle just a little bit, and then you do another 60, 70 shots, you might not even remember, you know, really where one set ends and one begins. So what I'll do with every time I take a new set, when I'm taking so many shots, is I'll take a picture of my hand, because hopefully I'll always have both of those with me, right? So then when I'm cruising through my images, I'll look through and I'll look for a break in the hand so that I know where this is. These I had already just dumped into a folder here, so I know these ones pretty easily. So, all right, thanks.